bars in the rain. Man, I go hard, like Santan.
Good evening, people. Welcome back to another episode of the New Spurs Order Pod, your favorite Tottenham podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. We're back, and it's been yet another eventful week in the Spurs world. But before we delve into that, Yao, how are you, man? Scott Hall, NWO and NSO's finest. How you doing, man? Long time.
Hey, man. I had to deal with some loads of work. Obviously, I wasn't gone for negative reasons. I was gone for positive reasons. Loads of work had come on my plate, so I had to sort it out. And then wedding season hit, and it was peak. But through it all, obviously, I've been keeping up with the guys, and yeah, I'm back. Innit? I'm back just in time for all the summer transfers coming like SummerSlam. I'm back and I'm ready for the heavyweight title. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you back, bro. And today we've actually got a special guest. So me and this fella used to chop it up with the likes of Mariah and a couple other touchline household names on spot. So Kieran, how are you doing, man? How's things? How are you?
Yeah, buonasera. All good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting the Italian out there already, yeah.
Yeah, already.
Guys, in case you haven't realized, Kieran's got a soft spot for Italy. I think I'm pretty sure you mentioned that you lived there at a point, right?
Yeah, I lived in Naples for 6 years, so yeah, I've stayed in Italy. So yeah.
Yep. So I think that also gives away the team he supports, Napoli. But Kieran covers all things Serie A, and I think it doesn't take a genius to realize why we've brought on Kieran for this week's episode. But before we get into specifics, just some minor housekeeping. Make sure you subscribe to all the socials. So that's Touchline Freka on Instagram and Twitter, just one word, and also the New Spurs Order, one word as well, on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to all our channels, all our socials, so you don't miss any of this content. Now, without ado, let's actually get into specifics, boys. So it's fair to say that it's actually an exciting period for Tottenham. Do we think that's a fair statement? Because it's like one signing's come through the door, another signing's essentially done, I guess, and they're just waiting on official confirmation. And then we're linked with a host of top players. And then to support that, we've seen obviously the capital investment from the owners, the majority owners at the club in the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, you're someone who is quite level-headed and likes to be blunt about Spurs' aspirations. What is your mood at the moment now with Tottenham?
There's a right. There definitely can be a sense of positivity for one, because the £150 million investment is something that I don't think Spurs fans have seen previously in the past. I mean, we've invested. The club have spent money. That's something that we can definitely say they've done, but it's tend to come on a sell to buy basis, which is not obviously the model that takes you to championships consistently. If you're going to be up there and competing, you have to be spending regularly and quite consistently. So now we've got the new stadium. Everything's back to up and running. We've got this £150 million investment, which from my understanding is obviously the majority, probably about 80%, will probably be used on players transfers. And then I imagine any player sales will be used on any additional transfer if need be. So that's the positive side of things. The second side of the positivity is that we do have two players, although one of them still has to confirm. I think with Fraser Foster, he can't be confirmed till the 1st of June because of some ruling in England that means that we can't actually say we've signed him until the 1st of June, which is the last month of his contract. So Fraser Foster, Perisic is a very big buy. Even though it's on a free, I think it's a fantastic move by the club. Very shrewd business by the club. But that's the positive side of things. Is there a negative? Not right now. The only negative will be is if all of this noise, because that's what it is right now, doesn't come to fruition by the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, to be honest. Kieran, I know obviously you keep your ears to the ground, not just on Italian news, but Premier League news as well. So, from the outside looking in, with the way we finished the season, what's your do you look at Spurs differently to how you looked at Spurs maybe back when we did those green rooms? Because the mood was completely different back those times with Jose Mourinho, etc., etc. So, what's the outward perception on Tottenham right now?
Yeah, I think since Conte's come in, he's done a fantastic job and he's getting the players to play well. Obviously, you did a fantastic bit of business in January by bringing in Kulusevski and Bentancur, and they've pushed you up the road. And Kulusevski, since he's come in from January, he's been fantastic. And I think there's a big belief behind the club, and the fan base are starting to get into the way Conte runs and the team plays. So yeah, it's Spurs been fantastic since January.
Brilliant. Boy, it's different mood now, isn't it? Different energy now, isn't it? When we speak Spurs. But listen, let's delve a little deeper into what you mentioned as well about that capital investment and the two players we brought in. So let's focus specifically on one of the players where let's face it, we've not actually had to spend any money on as far as his transfer fees concerned. Of course, there'll be maybe some signing on bonus fees and wages, of course, but let's look at the fact that we've paid £0 in transfer fees for Ivan Perisic. Yeah, this was a guy who was recently crowned Inter Milan's Player of the Year, Player of the Season. Hugely experienced. He's done it at the international stage. He's done it at the for his domestic clubs. Ambidextrous as well, and most importantly, he fills a gap that was gaping in our starting 11. What's your assessment of that Perisic deal?
It's one of those deals that I'll be honest with you, this is a typical Spurs deal.
You think so?
Yeah, and I'll explain why. This is no different to Van der Vaart, final day of the transfer window. So it's absolutely no different. We've had deals like this in the past. I won't say it's as big of an impact, but it's no different to getting Bale over the line. This is the level of player we're talking about, in terms of consistency, and he's and what he's done throughout his career, club and international level. Perisic is a very big deal, but the truth of the matter is that it's free. It's a free transfer. Yeah, this is, if there's any deal that's going to speak Spurs, this was it. You've got a superstar who's probably got, I think he's still got about 3 years left, footballing wise. And, I think he can still play at the top level up until the age of 36. He could probably go up to 38 if we're talking about how fit he is as an individual. Doesn't get injured consistently. We obviously touch wood over that. But in terms of the business, I think Spurs have done very shrewd business, especially to get this done so early. The transfer window officially has not actually opened, and we've got him over the line when I'd imagine if we had waited, a lot more clubs would have been sniffing around and basically been trying to pry him away. And we've managed to get this done. We haven't killed the bank in any way, shape, or form. And this allows us to obviously move forward later on in the transfer window to get other targets that we have moving forward. So I think this still shows ambition, if that's the correct term to use. But let's not lie, it's free business. So, business-wise, it's just good business.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? You know why? In my head, I don't see this as like your stereotypical Spurs deal. I get the links because of the situation, i.e. the lack of spend, the transfer spend. But I look at the fact that he's 33 years old. I can't remember the last time Tottenham have signed a 33-year-old player to come straight into the team and have given not only signed a 33-year-old but given him a 2-year deal. I hark back on that dreaded duo signing for Harry Redknapp, Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha. They were signed on what, like 6-month loan deals or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
But you get what I mean. Whereas
Yeah, I think
Perisic, go on.
I feel right regarding the age in terms of like we're not known as a club to sign players well into their 30s for one. Well, it was not the model that we've had at all. But through Levy and Enid's tenure, to be fair to them, they have, gone back into the market at times and signed slightly older players, whether they be 29, 30, 31. That's normally as far as they really go. So you're right. I do agree with you that this is a bit different because this guy is, we're talking 33. He really is a grown man.
Yeah, but it's not just the age, because I still think 33. I still think you can cut, and I'll come to Kieran on this later on. But I also think the fact that, like you said, we signed this guy in basically in May. We signed this guy in May before the window officially opened. We got this deal over the line. That's something that I don't really see with Spurs, and I think the third and most important aspect here is, yeah, this was a player that Antonio Conte specifically earmarked. Yeah. So forget about the age and whatnot. This was a guy that Conte said, I want this guy at the club. And the club went out of their way and they got him. And I think for me, those three components make this deal good and make it a bit different from the way we've operated in the past. I know we have signed experienced heads before to come and help the team, but it's like signing a man who Antonio Conte wants and giving him a 2-year deal on top as well. I think it's good, man. I think it's good. It shows as if the club are finally pulling towards the same direction as the manager. Now, Kieran, I wanted to come to you on this as well, because it's interesting. A lot of rival fans make a lot of Perisic's age or the fact that he's coming to probably the most physically demanding league in the world at this stage of his career. What is your assessment on that? Do you buy the nonsense that people are saying about how he's gonna get rinsed, he's too old, he's this, that, and the third? Because I don't. Tell me.
No, neither do I. No, he's a Maserati baller. He's 33. He fits Conte's system, which Conte's trying to play, which will be 3-5-2. He'll play left wing back. He played 35 times last year for Inter. He scored 7 goals. He 8 assists. He's fantastic going forward and going back. And he's a lot better than Reguilon. And obviously Conte doesn't trust Sessegnon yet, but he's a really good player, and age is just a number. And I think he'll kick on at Tottenham and he'll show everybody how much of a good player he is.
Yeah, and then on the thanks for that assessment as well. I agree. But more so on the Premier League's intensity. Do you see Perisic struggling to get up to speed with the pace of the English game?
No way. He played for Bayern Munich. He played for Wolfsburg when he was a kid. Obviously, Bundesliga is not as physical as the Premier League, neither is Serie A. But no, I just think, obviously, for being from Croatia, small country, 3 million people, they're built different in Eastern Europe. And I just think, they're just used to being tenacious and not getting bullied. And I think he'll hit the ground running.
I think so too. I really think people are overstating the age thing. I think when you watch Perisic play, that doesn't look like a player that will struggle when it comes to playing an intense game, when it comes to playing a game that requires a high amount of work, a lot of work rate. And I think the one major key which I like about this signing is the fact that Antonio Conte has earmarked this guy. Conte wants him. So Conte knows how he plays and knows which players can can basically take to his system better and which players can't. We've seen that on the negative side with the likes of Ndombele and so on and so forth, where players don't. But yet we see it with the likes of Kulusevski, Bentancur, and now Perisic, where these guys, beyond the technical aspect, they are hard workers. They put themselves around the football pitch. And it's no coincidence that Kulusevski and Bentancur have been able to sort of translate and apply their skills to the Premier League almost instantaneously. So I'm really looking forward to that signing. Yao, back to you on this. Sticking to Perisic. So we've spoken about the actual signing itself, but I want to talk about the impact it has on. I want to talk about the impact it has on some of our other players, most notably your very own dubbed Ryan Suss. Suspect.
Suspicion.
What are your aims for this deal then? Like, because let's face it, Sessegnon is not going anywhere. He's staying. He's probably going to sign a new deal this summer because he's down to his last 2 years, and it looks like the club want to keep him. It looks like Conte likes him and wants to develop him, to mold him. What are your expectations on Sessegnon's game whilst Perisic is at this club?
The problem with the young kid is that injuries have led him to not trust his body so much. So you see that sometimes when he's dribbling, he's very tentative, doesn't really commit to the dribble, which gives off that awkward dribbling style and allows him to lose the ball easier. But what I will give credit to him is that defensively, when he has been called upon, he's been very good. You know, sadly, he's not playing in a fullback role; he's playing in a wing-back role, which means that there has to be an offensive side to his game. That's where I think he's really irritated me the most. However, getting such a seasoned veteran like Perisic, who's, for all intents and purposes, the greatest definition I can give for a utility man in this modern era of football, because there used to be utility men when we were growing up for an abundance, you know, Seedorf for one, but this guy is like in that mode. He's a utility man. He can play left, right, both wings, both wing back positions, and at times, at very few times, he can play as a second striker, as a support striker, as Croatia have done a few times when they've been chasing games. So he's very versatile. And I'm sure that in the time that he'll be at Spurs, he can help Sessegnon get better in that role. I think that's one of the most important things, because you are right. I do think moving forward, the club is going to go with him as the long-term left wing back, possibly winger, maybe later on in his career. But the only way he's capable of doing that is one, building up his confidence, and two, building up his understanding of the position that he's playing. And I don't think there is a better player that we have acquired so far than Perisic to do that and help him move forward.
Fair enough. Kieran, before I move on, what's your take on that as well? Because do you feel like Perisic is the type of player that does have that effect where he can lend some of his skills to players who aren't as good at what he does, and basically they can sort of learn off him?
Yeah, he can take Sessegnon under his wing, or any other youngster, and show him really how to play football. Like you've already touched on, he can play anywhere across the pitch. He can play up front, right wing, left wing, you know, and he's a good impact player as well. So, you know, if you're chasing the game, you're 1-0 down and you want to win the game or get a draw, he can come on and have that instant impact where he's going to push the team, or he's going to get an assist, or he's going to score, or bring other people into the game. And I just think, you know, it's all well and good having youngsters in your team, but you still need people which have won things, older players who have that confidence and ability to push everybody up the road and make the team become better.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair play. Well, it looks like across the board we're in agreement that Perisic is a really good addition to this team, and let's see the damage he can do next season. Me personally, I'm expecting him to kill it, man. I think he'll do really well. But sticking to winter, let's talk about the main man in focus now that the Perisic deal is done, because we have heard reports from every single person and their dog. We've heard from Italian journals, from English journals, from French journals, from Spurs ITKs. Yeah. Bastoni. Now, Kieran, I'm going to stick to you on this. Yeah. I want you to, one, give me your opinion on what you think is going to happen. And number two, give me your opinion on the player.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. Obviously, left-footed centre back, which is rare. Not many about these days. He's fantastic at bringing the ball out, bringing it forward, and obviously he can play left back as well if you need him to play left back. He's quite tall as well, 6'1". He's good in the air. He's got good vision, and he's not scared to bring the ball forward and go up the pitch. Yeah, he's a very good player. If the deal happens, I don't know. But obviously Inter owe their creditors money, so they need to pay that back. And they're also looking at Bremer as a replacement, who you guys have been linked with as well. So for me, it makes sense for him to leave Inter because obviously he'll get a higher wage if he moves to Spurs. But I can see a similar kind of deal where with Kulusevski, where they take him on an 18-month loan or a 12-month loan with an obligation to buy with a fixed fee at the end. But, you know, I would like to see it happen, but it's all up in the air at the moment.
Is there just from your perspective then? Obviously, you keep your ears to the ground in terms of Italian news more than myself and Yao. How likely is that move for Bremer to Inter? Because I've read about that briefly, and I've read of Inter's confirmed interest, but my understanding is they would basically use some of the profits made from a sale from Bastoni to buy Bremer, and then they would pocket the rest of the cash to pay off their debt.
Yeah, that's true. So obviously Bastoni's been quoted at, say, 50 million euros, and Bremer would be between 20 and 30. So yeah, they would use that to buy Bremer, and then obviously they would use the rest then to pay off their creditors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, to be fair, you're smiling now because you've been saying this to me for like probably 6 months. Yao has been banging this drum for so long, and I've been shutting him down, saying, no, why would they sell him? Well, here's your time to shine, man. I want to get your opinion on Bastoni. Like, how easy? I know. Me personally, I don't like talking about players like this where we've not even signed them. Yeah, but in your opinion, what's your likelihood of this deal actually going through? Do you still see it happening, or do you think that he may decide to stay at Inter Milan?
I think all the talk of him wanting to stay at Inter Milan is a bit of a reach. Yes, he is an Inter Milan boy. Came up through the system. I don't think he actually came up through the system. Sorry.
No, he's from Atalanta.
That's it.
They bought him at 18.
But they bought him young, and he's had a great start too. He's like big professional career at Inter Milan. Yeah. And if I'm correct, he had his time under Conte, so he knows the system. I think he only spent, I want to say, a season under Conte. I don't think he was there the 2 full seasons Conte was there. But he knows the Conte system. And from what I'm hearing, I don't think there's actually a problem with the player wanting to come to Spurs. It has been reported that, he would like to stay at Inter, but, there's other conflicting reports going against that. However, Inter want to strengthen their team. They want to buy some players, some that they may be able to get for free, Diabala being one. But Bremer, if they go in for Bremer, they have to sell. So there'll be no point of even, how should I put it, bringing fresh faces to their team defensively if they're not going to have to sell, if they're not going to sell one of their assets when they have to, because they owe money to their creditors. And that's why from about maybe late December going into January, I've been harping on that if there is a player that we should be going after, it's Bastoni. And I did stay in the group that Bastoni will probably not only be cheaper than Toro Martinez, but he shouldn't even be more than, I think I said 60 million, but like it's even turned out to be far less than what I thought. I don't think there's an issue on our club side, money-wise. I think it's just making the package sound good for Inter. I'd imagine that in Inter's position, they wouldn't want much of a installment deal, which we've done quite a bit of them recently.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine Inter would want a quite a big lump sum so that they can get Bremer and, as Kieran said, probably pay off a little bit of the creditors. So for me, I just think it's literally a ticking time bomb, really, as to when we get that deal done. That's me personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it was Alistair Gold who's mentioned it as well, and even Paul O'Keefe. Whether you're listening to this and you choose to listen to him as a Spurs fan or not, they said that the money's there. The finances, they've come, like we've heard from credible sources, they've said the finances will not be an issue with Bastoni. I think for the second time this calendar year, Spurs actually have the money ready to go to pay for a high profile name to join the club, and it's just now down to the player and his camp on whether they would like they would like us to sort of trigger the deal, because I think that's what we're waiting on from what I've read, that if he is convinced by the project, then Spurs will then take the initiative, make the official bid, and we'll get things cracking. So listen, I think me personally, I would love him. I would absolutely love that guy. He's always been a pipe dream for me. Like I didn't actually think that Spurs could sign him, and yet here we are. There's not a big chance, but there's a chance that Spurs can sign him. And I think what I like about this is that from our side, we're doing everything we can to sign him. From what I can see, the money is seemingly going to be made available. The wages won't be an issue. Personal terms won't be an issue. It's just about convincing him on the project. So
it sounds positive. You know, like it's nice. You know that we're in this position right now. We it's almost like we can dream. You know, there's certain clubs that dreamt of being here in this position. You know, we're smiling. I mean, I went out today. You know, I got on the Clipper. You know, we were bombing it down the Thames. I was thinking to myself, wow, Spurs back in the Champions League, looking at 50 million pound centre backs. You know, certain clubs had to let their 50 million pound striker go for free. I'm not mentioning no names. I'm just saying, you know, get the job done in the final weeks, and maybe you could dream too. You know, one day, just one day. Facts.
Big up Sai as well in the chat. Big up Sai. Kevin Yash. Tell him. He says Gooners will say Bastoni isn't that good once we sign him. Facts. These players are never that good when they sign for Spurs, but if they sign for that dirty team down the road dressed in red, they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're the best thing since sliced bread. But we won't speak on that. I can see Gooner Lee lurking in the comments, bro. Just
what's he saying?
Relax over there, yeah. Just
say names.
Just chill over there, yeah. Just chill over there, yeah. Calm.
Kieran, it's peak over them sides.
Yeah, Kieran. Another question for you as well, because I don't really watch much of him, but I've read about him and I've seen him. I remember watching him when AC Milan played, and all I could think was absolute unit. Talk to me about Bremer, because I think him, Gvardio, and I can't remember who the other name was, Pau Torres. These are the names that are being mentioned if Spurs aren't able to get the Bastoni deal over the line. What are your thoughts on Bremer as an alternative?
Yeah, he was voted Defender of the Year last year in Serie A. He had a fantastic season with Torino, who were down towards the bottom end of the table. I think without him and maybe Belotti, they would have been in trouble and potentially could have got relegated. He's a very good player, but for me, he's very similar to Christian Romero, who you already have. So I think Bastoni's better on the ball, whereas Bremer is more similar to Romero. Obviously, that South American kind of player who's tenacious in the tackle and just loves defending. I think Bastoni would be a better fit with Romero than what Bremer would be, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've got that vibes as well because I was looking at his ball progression stats and they're not that great. And then when you watch clips of this guy play, it's purely his defensive skill, which isn't bad because you need defenders who can defend. I would be comfortable with Bremer, but I really, really want Bastoni simply because of the fact that not only can he defend, but on the ball, he's way better. Like I don't know about you, yeah, but when I watch Bastoni play, I don't want to gas him too much, but he actually reminds me so much of Jan Vertonghen. The fact that he can play left back, he's naturally left-footed, he's quite tall, and he's got this ability to just glide past players. Like I've seen Bastoni pick up the ball and just go past 2-3 players. Like Jan Vertonghen was very good at bringing the ball out from defense, whether that's through his dribbling or whether that's through his passing. So Bastoni gives me those type of vibes, man. And signing someone like Bastoni, 23 years old, you've actually got a top draw centre back there for the long haul. What do you think? Do you think that comparison is a reach or?
No, I don't think that comparison is a reach at all. I mean, you have to take into consideration when we signed Jan Vertonghen, he was about 25. If I'm right, I think he was. I know he was like mid-20s, around that range, and he slotted right into our team pretty well. And then obviously showed his class later on, a few seasons down the line. Honestly, if people haven't watched Serie A at all, just go back and have a look at last season, especially for Inter. Like I did, as Toby will be able to admit, in the group, there's been times where I've been shouting this guy's name in the group, like, "Oh, did you just see what he did?" The guy is quality. The problem is when a team has, say, a good blend, as we once had under Poch, when certain players either leave the squad or get too old, in a sense, you have to start looking at replacements. Jan Vertonghen left. We didn't have a replacement. None. He literally is the Jan Vertonghen replacement. In fairness, Romero, if you want to look at it, not like for like, but if you want to look at it for what was our best partnership, which was Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, Romero will be our Toby. So where's our Jan Vertonghen replacement? It's definitely not Dyer. He was already in that team and he doesn't play that style of football anyway.
Yeah.
So Bastoni would be the fit. Yeah. And so we need to obviously start picking up, certain players that fit the mold of what the manager wants to do, but also give us the same qualities as previous players once did.
Yeah. Fair. No, that's good. That's fair enough, man. And it's interesting that we're focusing on defensive reinforcements on our team. Kieran, I want to get an outside opinion on this. Heading into the summer window, where would you have said was the biggest priorities for Spurs this summer to actually sort of fix?
I think you a bit light in centre midfield, so I think you need somebody to go in there. Obviously, you've been linked with James Ward-Prowse from Southampton. I think he'd be a pretty decent signing for Tottenham. And yeah, I think defence as well. Obviously, Sanchez isn't the best, and obviously, I don't rate Emerson Royale whatsoever. I think you messed up there. You should have signed Tomiyasu instead, but you were quibbling over money. So yeah, the wing back positions need to be sorted out, and you need another centre back and maybe a backup goalkeeper. But obviously, you signed Fraser Foster now, so that's kind of sorted.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to actually touch on Fraser Foster as well. Obviously, that's the deal that's as good as done now, barring the official announcements. Once we wait for his contract to expire at Southampton. What are your thoughts on that signing?
I think it's a very good signing. He's a good backup. He's got loads of Premier League experience. So there's no real fear there in his ability to adapt to the league. I think he's done a good he's had a good time at Southampton. I'm not like over the moon. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's amazing though. I mean, it's an older goalkeeper who's literally gonna probably come in for the cup games to give Hugo Lloris some rest time. If it was my personal preference, I would have personally gone for a younger goalkeeper with probably more of an upside, but I guess it's difficult in this market right now. I'd have gone with a younger keeper and possibly giving him more of the reins to challenge Hugo for that number one spot, and slowly, hopefully, kind of like move Hugo to more the secondary spot. But I guess, you know, the way with goalkeepers right now, how would they want to lose their number one position? So I think this business is really done to kind of, one, keep Hugo happy, so he knows that he's still our number one goalkeeper, and two, allow him to obviously rest in, I don't want to say lesser games, but games that we should, you know, win and don't necessarily need our starting 11 for, you know. So and he seems to be a decent backup. I mean, far better than what Joe Hart gave us. That guy was useless.
Yeah. And Galini too, to be fair, but I guess
Galini was a rapper. We only bought him for musical purposes.
Kieran knows all too well about Galini and his gaps
and his baseball cap.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Galini. I heard that Galini actually had a really good presence or I read that he had a good influence in the change room, and he was relatively important in helping the likes of Kulusevski and Romero settle into the club. So listen, if that's the one thing that he's done, or the two things that he's done, thank you for that, bro. But mate, you got to get out of here, because
bring him back as an ambassador. Then he can integrate players back into.
So what? Have him perform at halftime. Anyway, let's actually talk about some of the rest of the news swirling around in the rumor mill. So right wing back, another priority position for us. Jed Spence, I think that's probably the main name, and to be honest, the only name that I've seen us linked with for right wing back, aside from some of those shouts for Philip Kostic to play left wing back and Perisic to play right wing back. But Jed Spence,
Hickey too. Aaron Hickey too.
From Bologna.
Yeah.
Aaron
Yeah.
Hickey?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought Arsenal had that one over the line.
No, Tottenham are looking at him as well.
What? So give us. Please, you tell me, because I don't really watch. I'm not really watching Bologna like that. So you tell me, what's Hickey like?
Yeah, he's very good, very industrious on the ball, good at going forward. He's good at staying fit, unlike Tierney. So yeah, I think you'll have one up on Arsenal if you sign him. Obviously, he signed from Hearts for $2 million. He had a good season with Bologna, and yeah, a lot of eyes are on him at the moment. And yeah, he's a good young player, and he can only get better. And he's better than Emerson Royale with cheese.
Ain't hard. Ain't hard to be better than Chicken Royale. But another name as well. Fair enough. I didn't know we were interested in Hickey, but I'll do some more research on that one. But another name that's been mentioned, someone who again I've not really watched much of, Singo, right wing back for Torino. Thoughts on him? What's he like? And is there any sort of realistic expectation that Spurs would move for a player like Singo?
For me, he's okay, but I don't think he's better than what you got. He's one for the future, and he could potentially get better, but I think he should stay in Italy with Torino before he comes to the UK. It'll be too much of a move too soon.
Fair enough. And speaking of too soon, yeah, I want to come back to you for Jed Spence, because he's one his name's ringing bells in N17, and he's one that's not just highly coveted by Spurs, but quite a host of top Premier League clubs. What's your thoughts on Jed Spence to Spurs? Like, Kieran's obviously just mentioned on the pitfalls of Singo making that jump too early. Jed Spence, I think if Spurs were to sign him, he would effectively have to come in and be our number one and rotate alongside Matt Doherty, because let's face it, the club are looking to sell Emerson Royale this summer, or Chicken Royale. Actually, maybe I'll call him Emerson. Who, by the way, we're glad that he was safe after that madness that happened in Brazil. That's crazy, but I'm not surprised. Stuff like that stuff like that can happen to footballers. It really happens. It happens in the UK. It happens in Italy. It happens everywhere, man. They're high-profile people, and I'm just glad he had the protection there and then. But yeah, back on Jed Spence. What's your thoughts on that move? Supposedly.
I've seen a few games of him. I think there's something there. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't. I wouldn't say I've been overly impressed. But in saying that, we've had a whole season of a variant, then number 2, then the guy finally got half his name back in Matthew. And then we also had a whole season of Emma's son, deciding whether he wanted to go out and play in the park. I mean, it's in terms of right wing back, it's an awful position. Is Spence the answer? My honest opinion is I've got a very bad feeling that Spence comes in and just reminds me of Suspect. That's my honest opinion. I feel like he would be a good squad player for our team. But to come in and be our number 1, nah, it's not for me. But for all I know, he could come in and actually just hit the ground running. So I'm not too sure on that one. I honestly feel like we were better off going with a more, I shouldn't say higher profile, but somebody with a bit more experience in that position. But it could work out in our favor.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain if Jed Spence is signed by the club. I think he's a good talent, man. I think he's a good player. He didn't really impress me in the playoff game. He looked mid, but it's one game. And the same way he looked mid there, I can point out games where people have told me, like the game against Arsenal, where he looked exceptional. So he looks a good player. He looks a good player, but like you, I feel like this is not an easy role. Yeah, the wing back role, I think you can't just throw anyone there and it works. You need someone who knows what they're doing, especially in the final third. He's going to get a lot of the ball, and we've seen when Chicken Real gets in those positions, he's drowning. And I don't really want Jed Spence to drown. I think if we had a firm and established, certified first choice right wing back, I would be over the moon with Jed Spence coming in, because that's someone for him to learn off. And he comes in, he deputizes, and he eventually takes over the role. It's like, but we don't have that luxury. Yeah, Matt Doherty probably gave us his best bit of football in his entire Spurs career in the space of like a few weeks.
Yeah,
and massive knee injury. We don't know how he's going to come back next season, and he wasn't exactly an undisputed player anyway. So we may potentially be asking Jed Spence to come in and carry a burden that he just doesn't really have the strength for right now. I don't know. Kieran, what's your take on Spence?
I've only watched him a couple of times. I think I watched him on Nottingham Forest FA Cup run last year. He looks solid. He's still a young player, so he's got the potential to get better. It depends really. Obviously, he's owned by Middlesbrough, so I'm not sure if he's gonna. For me, it makes more sense for him to stay with Nottingham Forest on loan in the Premier League, and then they buy him if they stay up. I think maybe Tottenham might be a big jump up and a big step too far. It's one of them. It's a risk, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like it is definitely a risk. But I feel like with a player like that, it's a good type of risk. It's just a case of the waiting time. I think we want plays for the here and now with Conte, and I feel like Jed Spence is very much a player for the future. But we'll see how that develops. But we've spoken a lot about incoming players. Let's talk about outgoing players now. So, Yao, of course, you've seen the rumor mill again buzzing this morning. A certain Steven Bergwijn, who has just scored, might I add, an absolutely cracking goal for Holland. He scored a fantastic goal for Holland, literally just now. let's say we knock another, we add another 5 million to his price tag. But Ajax have made a bid for Bergwijn. There's been no confirmation yet on whether the bid's been accepted or how much the bid is. But Steven Bergwijn, where do you stand? In fact, I know where you stand. I just want you to say it again.
I sell him. I ain't got no time for those sentimental things. Listen, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I've seen some of the drip that man's been thrown on Instagram. He's got money. Well done, clap for the kid. I'm glad that he scored up the price tag, but the truth of the matter is, like you can't. I'm sorry, you can't be Dutch and be taking this long to get up to speed with this league. It don't make sense to me. Like I could reel off bare Dutch players that have come in, smashed up the league, even some that have taken time. I ain't got time to waste. Like, I think it's not worked out for him. Maybe this ain't the league for him. That's fine. That's football. He could easily just go back home and then smash it up there, because he's not a guy that wants to play the squad role. He just doesn't. He's made that very clear. He wants to be starting games, and taking names. And the problem with that is he's had a stop-start time period at Spurs. I don't think we have the patience to be waiting for my man to hit the ground running. So sell him and just, build out the team otherwise.
Yeah, a comment in here from Jeffrey saying, keep Bergwijn. Listen, the ship has sailed, man. The ship has sailed. I'm bored. I'm actually bored. Nothing against Bergwijn. Yeah, but he just hasn't been a success at Spurs. I don't actually think Steven Bergwijn's a bad player. I'll say this. Yeah, he's shown me a little something under Conte. I don't think he's a bad player. I can see him going to another club and doing well. But why? Why do we have to persist with him? Why do we have to wait for Bergwijn to be the player that we want him to be at Spurs?
I'd like to say, just for the record,
why?
I don't think he's bad, but sell him. I don't know what other way to put it.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. I get the whole concept about depth, but we've had him for depth for the past 2 years.
Yeah, no, we've had him for depth, and unlike a swimming pool, there's been no depth when he's come onto the pitch. More time he's played like he's in the shallow end, just standing above water. That's nice. When we talk about depth, there has to be real depth. We have to be drowning teams. We don't drown teams when Bergwijn comes off the bench. Like, we don't even drown teams when he's starting more time. Like, he had, thank God, he had that great performance coming off the bench against Leicester City. Very proud of him. And then I think either the week before that or the week after that, he went and touched up, West Ham, punched them up. I was there in the stadium with Sai and Dave, who were there, punched him up. Pop, pop, pop. He realized he was Dutch again. And then weeks later, man decided he didn't want to be Dutch. Well, what's that about? Sell him. I ain't got time for this.
Yeah.
Sell him.
Just sell him. I said it. Listen, I don't want there to be a season where he gets sold and Lucas Moura survives another summer. He needs to be sold immediately. Lucas Moura needs to be sold immediately. Yeah. Immediately. I think with this one, move him on, take the money, move on Lucas Moura, take the money, and bring in 2 players who genuinely can compete.
That's it. It's not sell him and don't replace. It's sell him and get better bodies in. Yeah, like, look, if we didn't get rid of Lamela, for argument's sake, yeah, and I actually like Lamela, yeah, but if we didn't get rid of Lamela and in the end actually have to rely on Moura, we would have never gone into the market and gone in for like Diaz or Kuvalevsky. We would have never gone into the market for them. Yeah, facts. So, and it's turned out that Kuvalevsky's worked out better than both Lucas Moura and Lamela. And like I said, I didn't have a problem with Lamela. I think injuries killed his time at Spurs.
Oh, I had a problem.
I didn't actually have a problem with it, yeah, but
I had the problem.
But we had to move him on, and in moving Lo Celso and Ndombele on loan, we were able to get Bentancur. We're not getting rid of these players to not replace them. We have to replace them. Yeah,
Facts.
but this guy cannot stay here no more. His time's done.
I think the one key thing that we're failing, well, not us two, but I think the one thing that isn't really being emphasized is he actually wants to leave. He doesn't want to stay. He doesn't want to be someone for depth. Yeah. So for those who are commenting, Steven Bergwijn has said on air, he said it on Dutch radio, he wants to leave Spurs. He doesn't like being a benchman. He wants to play regularly. And he's not going to play regularly at Spurs because he's not good enough to. Is he good enough to play more games than he should have? Yes. Because when you see the likes of Lucas Moura getting more minutes than he is, that one I don't agree with. But this guy wants to leave. He wants to leave the club. So for me, it's in our best wishes. Sell him.
Easily.
Sell him.
Easily. I'm with that. You know, I know a lot of people will be like, look at what he done in the Leicester game. Yeah, but that could be said for a lot of players across all sorts of football. You know, like that one specific moment doesn't save his career at Spurs. Sorry.
Agreed. Jeffrey is not impressed. He says Bergwijn wants game time. He also says if it wasn't for Bergwijn in the Leicester game, we wouldn't be qualified for the UCL fan. Believe that we could say this for so many other games.
Yeah, there's like, I'm pretty sure that game happened in January or early February.
It happened in January, and then we proceeded to lose 2 more games. Listen, I'm not trying to downplay the significance. That was big.
It was a big win.
Big. It was a big win, a big result. But come on, man, come on.
It's not enough.
Anyway, big upside as well. He says the next player that comes in for Bergwijn is also going to need to adjust. Listen,
possibly,
my brother, it could be, but I ain't gonna have another Bergwijn, man. It's enough, man. It's enough.
For me, listen, the list of players that need to go, everybody knows anyway. Yeah.
He said he doesn't want any with N. He don't want any players with N.
Yeah,
in Kubu, in G.
It can't be none of them N postcode guys. It can't be none of them. Listen, I'm happy for Bergwijn to be sold if somebody else comes in and does the business. I'm also happy for Huijsen to be sold, but I don't think he's going to be sold. For those of you that don't know who Huijsen is, yeah, that's Højbjerg. That boy's bad sauce. Yeah, he's bad sauce. Bad for your lungs, bad for your heart, bad for your arteries. That guy's useless. If there's a guy that I need to get out of this club, is Højsen Sauce himself. He has to go, but he's probably not going to be sold. But I'm so thankful to God, that the club has finally realized that Winko Stinko, it's time for him to go. That boy can't wink. He is crap. Yeah, and he's finally going.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's just bunch them all into one, because the club are actively looking to sell Giovanni Lo Celso. So the club correspondents have confirmed that there is that green light now to sell Harry Winks. So I expect Harry Winks will be moved on this summer. But another fresh piece of information that was provided to us yesterday by Julien Maynard, French reporter for Telefoot. Tanguy Ndombele looks like he's off to a Spanish club. I think he said, was it a Spanish club he mentioned? He said unnamed, but he looks like he's likely to head to a Spanish club this following season. I expect that will probably be a loan move with a buy option inserted, because let's face it, I don't really see many Spanish teams being able to afford Ndombele at the price Spurs are asking.
The money is low right now.
So, Kieran, nice to have you back.
Sorry, it was Amazon.
No worries. Outside looking in, do you think that's the best move for both parties, for Ndom and for Spurs?
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there. So yeah, his best thing to do is ship him out on loan, maybe. Like you said, his transfer fee would be high because you need to recoup the money what you paid for him. And yeah, hopefully, wherever he goes, whether it be Spain or Italy or Germany, he has a successful loan move and you can get him off the books then.
What do you think of him? Do you rate him? Because with Ndom, he divides. he divides opinion.
I don't really have an opinion on him, to be honest. I haven't seen him enough. So, he barely plays for Tottenham. I've watched him a couple of times for France. But, yeah, I'm indifferent when it comes to him.
Yeah, I know your opinion on this, but I want it anyway because I think with Ndom, we know he's got his admirers, me included, but at times you just got to pull the plug, man. You just got to be ruthless. Progression means you shed off what's not worked for you, and you try and find ways to you try and find new ways to move forward, man. Give me your thoughts on Ndom potentially leaving the club for a second successful season.
It's sad because Ndom is that, footballer that, when you look at him on the ball, you see how he plays football, you think, oh, this guy could be special,
Yeah.
But he just turned out to be the guy that, bro, he let Nas down, yeah. And if you you can't be letting Nas. Look at what happened to J. Cole when he let Nas down. You don't do that. You don't do them things there, yeah. So he let Nas down. He let us all down. So with that being said, like a child that's done wrong in his classroom, got to send man to detention. Send him away. You don't need to see that face again. And we need to make our money back. We spent £63 million on this guy. Yeah. He should be smashing it up. He should be punching teams left, right, and center week in, week out. And we've had to sell this guy. Not even sell him. We had to send him on loan back to the club that we got him from. For him to not even be like smashing it up there. Listen, sometimes it just doesn't work. You might go to the shop, buy a new pair of night trainers, think, yeah, I'm going to be styling. Put on your crepes, head outside, and the girl you fancy said, big man, them crepes ain't running. And that's what's happened with us. And Ndombele ain't running, yeah? So it's time to cut the cords. No more sentimental things. Sell the youth. I ain't got time for it. Yeah, we ain't raising no more babies in this club. Get rid of him. We need to be moving like men.
I hear that, man. I hear that. Well, I think that's a good place for us to end it. That brings a close to this week's news in the Spurs world. Listen, folks, we're going to be here throughout the summer, giving you everything you need. I did want to get into some of the dodgy rumors that we heard, but you know what? I'll save that for next week when we've got a bigger crowd, because we will be in need of a laugh. I mean, those Kane rumors are a laugh, but we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that next week anyway. But Kieran, it's been great having you here, man. Well, yeah, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for giving us your insight on specifically the Italian news, the Italian links, and some of the players in the Serie A, man. Yao, it's been a good return for you. I hope that we've got you back for good now, because Scott Hall needs to be on any sort of NSO pod. So you better be free next week and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that.
I'm back in it. I had my month's injury not too long after Armageddon. Man said I'll return after WrestleMania. I'm here in it. You know what I'm saying? We're here.
All right, cool. Yeah, you heard that, folks. He is here. He ain't going anywhere. So fresh Spurs news hot off the press from the NSO coming your way throughout the summer. But until then, make sure you like, share, and subscribe this stream. Make sure you share and spread the word on the pod itself, available on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to all the socials, man. Again, the YouTube channel, Touchline Media, Touchline Fracker, on Instagram, and on Instagram and Twitter as well. Touchline Fracker, one word. New Spurs Order, one word. Make sure you're following all the socials and you're engaging with us. Until then, take care. Peace out. Listen, Scott Hall's in the chat as well. He's saying he's here to address the people next week. He's got them receipts. Yo, Touchy Gooners, if you're listening, we got receipts for days. So, boy, you know when Si's on the pod, he's getting his reparations. So tune in for next week anyway, and we'll speak soon. Take care. Peace out, and up the Spurs.